News here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Two new COVID-19 mutations were detected in Central Visayas, but officials say it is still too early to tell if these variants of concern would have significant implications on public health. Let's get more details. We have with us Dr. Mary Jean Lureche. She is spokesperson of Department of Health Region 7. Ma'am, good afternoon.
Magandang hapon din po.
Ma'am, magandang hapon po. We would want to know, ito pong mga patients po natin who have these mutations, what are the symptoms that they are experiencing? At ito po bang mga symptoms na to would worsen because of these mutations?
That is the funny thing, ano? Kasi yung mga samples na kinulekta natin sa mga SARS-CoV-2 positive na mga pasyente natin dito sa Central Visayas are actually those that had mild cases or symptoms at saka karamihan sa kanila asymptomatic, wala pong nararamdaman. Kaya hindi po natin masasabi na ito pong mutations of that are potentially clinically significant later ay mas grabe ito sila na patutunguhan kung sino man yung dadapuan nito.
Ma'am, how about the number? Are they increasing as to these mutations? Is it causing an increase of cases in Cebu?
Mahirap din po muna i-link, no? It's difficult to link the rising cases of Cebu with mutations of concern. Kasi primarily, kung titingnan po natin, ilang samples lang naman po ang nakitaan nito. That's the first one. Pangalawa po, kung titingnan din po natin, matagal na po kasing bukas yung ekonomiya natin, no? September pa, MGCQ na tayo. Pagkatapos, nagkaroon tayo ng mga post-holiday surges. So there is really truly people movement, no? So yan, makakonsider natin na factors ito kung bakit madami tayong kaso. Pangatlo, which is again, I think, no, is also an important factor to consider. Kasi nga po sa aggressive contact tracing natin, tayo po ay nag-test, no? So our testing capacity kasi ay napakaganda. So dahil aggressive yung ating emergency operations center, ang isang tao na nagpositibo, immediately magko-contact tracing po tayo niyan. Tapos i-isolate natin, iti-test po natin sila lahat. So all of these factors can actually be the reason why we are seeing the rise in cases. Para bang, when you test, you're trying to find the cases. So the more you test, the more numbers you get to see.
Ma'am, kamusta po ang biosurveillance efforts natin in the region because again of these mutations that have emerged?
Sige. Actually, nung nagsimula nga na paakyat yung mga kaso namin, we were the ones who initiated the biosurveillance. So we really, requested Secretary Duque and the Philippine Genomic Center at kami nagpapasalamat, pinagbigyan nila kami sa aming mga kahilingan. So yung first batch of samples, yan na nga po yung lumabas. Meron kaming second and third batch of samples na naibigay na, awaiting results. Meron po tayong ipapadala din bukas na another batch of samples. So we're trying really to see and find kung talaga po bang laganap yung ating mutations of concern dito po sa amin.
Doctora, with that being said, is there a chance that these so-called mutations of concern, like you mentioned, may be considered Philippine variants of the coronavirus?
Mahirap din po munang sabihin yan, primarily kasi the rest of the samples are still being sequenced. So I would like to leave that with the Philippine Genomic Center when they are finished with their study analytics, and then babalik po nila sa amin yung kanilang findings. Then saka po tayo magsasabi kung ito ba ay talagang local variant natin o posible ba ito ay offshoot lang ng ating mga currently na identified na mga variant.
Doctora, finally, would you recommend, sa inyo pong opinion, to place Region 7 or perhaps Cebu in particular under a stricter quarantine status?
No, definitely not. Actually, isa yan sa aming pakiusap na we will not be placed on a stricter quarantine because we believe na we're capable of handling the cases. We are in control of the situation. Ang ating pong critical care utilization, yung ating hospital po na capacity, no, ay napakaganda pa rin. At hindi naman po kailangan talaga na mag-lockdown tayo kasi kaya po namin ito i-handle ang ating mga kaso.
Panghuli na lamang po, how likely, Doktora, is there or is it that these mutations of the virus could be in other provinces although, or hindi lang natin pa siya nadedetect as of now?
There is a likelihood that there may be some form of mutations of concern also, or potentially clinically significant in other areas. Kung sakali man, if they should be conducting by surveillance muna. Mahirap kung i-discount yan, mahirap din kung sabihin na meron sila unless they conduct by surveillance of their own.
Thank you, Dr. Loreche, for, of course, your time and your insights. Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat din po.
Meanwhile, the MMDA is looking at allowing up to 30% seating capacity in cinemas. MMDA General Manager Jojo Garcia recognized that NCR mayors are up in arms against the IATF's move to reopen cinemas. He says the agency is looking for a compromise, so they will craft rules allowing only 20 to 30% capacity instead of the 50% initially proposed by the IATF. That is if President Duterte would still allow cinemas to reopen. He also expressed doubts that there would be a resurgence in COVID-19 cases once the metro is placed under MGCQ. Garcia said he is confident that Filipinos are responsible enough to still follow minimum health protocols. The number coding scheme will still stay suspended as long as public transportation is not yet back to normal. In an interview with Sa Totoo Lang, MMDA spokesperson Celine Pialago said that the reimposition of number coding scheme must first be studied and the situation of public transportation must be considered. She also touted an improved traffic situation in EDSA after the Skyway reopened.
Hindi pa rin po mag-normalize yung sitwasyon. So ma'am, wala pa pong anunsyo kung kailan ibabalik ang number coding scheme. So until further notice, suspended po at lifted ang ating number coding scheme.
Pialago also commented on political tarpaulins in major thoroughfares and footbridges in the metro, saying the agency is keen on removing them regardless of who put them up. But she says coordination with LGUs is still the proper recourse.
Sir, yung mga tarpaulins po na nakikita natin sa mga major thoroughfares, yung mga footbridges, no? Gusto lang po namin din ipaliwanag na may mga pagkakataon po kasi sir na yung mga tarpaulins ay nakakahingi po ng permiso sa local government unit. So kami po ay nakikipag-ugnayan kung sino ho ang nagpahintulot doon sa mga tarpaulins. Meron po mga government projects, or for example, CPP, NPA ay binaban dito sa Metro Manila. For example po, yung mga government tarpaulins po na yun po, napahintulot po yun. We will do proper coordination.
The government stands firm in denying appeals from the Love is Not Tourism group to allow entry for foreigners seeking to meet or reunite with their partners in the Philippines. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says such foreigners are still covered by tourist visas. Roque said they should simply stand until tourists are allowed to enter the country again. But in their online petition, the group cited countries that have lifted their bans for unmarried couples, including Canada, France, and Singapore. Now we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Tandag City in Surigao del Sur is already bracing for tropical storm Auring. Let's get the latest. We have Jem Avancenia. She's joining us live from Tandag. Jem, what measures are being taken as of now?
Riza, the local government of Tandag City implemented forced evacuation as Tropical Storm Oring is expected to make landfall over CARAGA region tomorrow. As of 9 a.m. this morning, almost 300 families were already evacuated from the coastal barangays. The city government has started distributing relief assistance to families in different evacuation areas. Tandag City Mayor Roxanne Pimentel and Vice Mayor Eleanor Momo assured the public that they are strictly observing health protocols to avoid COVID-19 transmission. On Friday, several houses were damaged while 2 shanties were washed out after huge waves hit the coastal areas. 2 houses were also wrecked after a mango and a balete tree fell down due to strong winds. Office of the Civil Defense CARAGA Regional Director Liza Maso said almost 500 families were already evacuated in the entire region. Most of them resides along the coast. In Lanuza, Surigao del Sur, the LGU together with the Public Works Department conducted clearing operations along the highway as preemptive measure for Tias Oring. Agusan del Norte also released an executive order prohibiting sea voyage and fishing activities in the province. Trips of all vessels and watercrafts in Surigao del Norte are likewise suspended. Riza, since this morning, strong winds with light rains are being experienced here in Tandag City, Surigao del Sur, as well as in nearby towns. Riza?
Thank you for that report. Jem Avancenia reporting live from Tandag City. Former Defense Chief Orly Mercado says that the CPP-NPA is not the real enemy but poverty. Speaking to 1PH sa Totoo Lang, Mercado said that insurgency will end once the government solves extreme poverty. He adds that the CPP-NPA targets the poor and marginalized sector because they are the most vulnerable. Police earlier raided University of San Carlos and supposedly rescued Lumad students as the PNP accused the Lumad School of conducting warfare training.
Kasama naman sa strategiya naman ng mga ng CPP-NPA yung ang kanilang kasi ang kanilang mga tinatarget, as I said, yung pinakamahihirap, marginalized. So they're the ones. And you know, they send also people there who are teachers, who are social workers, who are willing to help, etc., listen to them, etc. So where government is not present, the NGOs come in. And some of them, if not all, hindi naman all, kundi a lot of them, they have their own political agenda. May sariling political agenda yan eh. Kaya, paano mo ba lalabanan yun? But the real enemy is actually not the communists. It's poverty. Pag na-end natin yung poverty, yung mga lumad na talagang hindi iniintindi, tapos na-indoctrinate, yan ay mawawala rin yan. Yung urban poor, kung saan, yung mga manggagawa, yung rural poor, yan ang mababawasan.
And to remedy such problems, the Labor Department is currently looking at 4 sectors to help lift the country's sluggish economy. Labor Assistant Secretary Dominic Tutay said they are pinning hopes on 4 sectors including health and wellness, wholesale and retail, construction, and the government. The wholesale and retail sector will mainly be propelled by online trading, while the construction sector is due to the government infrastructure projects. She added that it may take up to 3 years for the economy to recover from the effects of the pandemic. She also notes that they are looking at generating up to 2.8 million jobs under the Philippine Development Plan. Now, those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 1 o'clock or 1:30 in the afternoon as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. We are One News.